body is holy and perfect.
I'm trying to grow closer to God.
Oh, and I know I'm about to be ate up in the comments for this. Y'all, that whole extra Christian like behavior thing, like God was talking to me and stuff like that. People don't want to hear that. Hey guys, and welcome back for another video. So today we're going to be taking a walk down, this might actually be called singleness and stubborn black womenism or something, because I swear that, you know, ever since I started getting into doing YouTube videos, it's like this kind of stuff just comes into my feed. Like I don't even like seek it. It's just, it literally finds me. So we have a woman here. And the reason I wanted to bring attention to this is because I'm not trying to tell anybody how to get a man. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live a perfect life or to do you or to find your happiness. I'm not here to do that. But if I see something that could possibly be talked about and help another person in any type of way, I'm going to do it. All right. So I'm not hating on this lady or anything, but I'm pretty sure by the end of the video, you'll understand why I chose this. But let's just get into it. Let's just get right into it.
I've been praying for a husband since 2023. Not 20, is it 2023 now? 2013. I've been praying for my husband since 2013. So it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years since I have been specifically praying for my spouse, for my husband. I gave the Lord a list in 2013 and I said, I'm ready.
All right. So we're just going to go ahead and say it. 10 years is a long time to be praying for the same thing. And this woman, she's got kind of a lot of makeup on, so I don't really know how old she is, but if I had to gauge it, I would probably say anywhere from mid to late 30s, possibly even early 40s. Not that she looks old. It's just based on this conversation and, you know, just her style, the way that she's obviously living. You know, it says that you're a grown adult mature woman and you're not living at home in like your parents' basement or something. You know, like obviously you're able to take care of yourself to a certain degree. So that's what we have so far. We have a woman who's been praying for the same thing for 10 years. Honey, did you stop to think that maybe your husband wasn't right for you? A decade is a long time to like literally be praying for something and it not be brought to fruition. Now, when it comes to other things, some goals you would imagine do take a lot longer. Like for instance, if you're trying to build a business, they say usually that can take upwards 5 years. You know, if you are trying to lose weight, it can take years depending on how much you have to lose, you know? So it's like one of those things where I understand that sometimes it does take time to get the goals that you want, but 10 years to find a compatible mate, honey, maybe marriage isn't right for you. I'm just saying, maybe you should focus on some other stuff and then kind of like, just if it happens, it happens. But anyway, we'll keep watching.
Okay. And so ever since then, you know, it's been a lot of discontentment. It's been a lot of discontentment. I've been unhappy. I've been trying to figure out which one is my husband. Why hasn't he come? Why am I so single? Why everybody else married? Why everybody else got kids? And I am the only single friend. Okay. And so I did a lot of discontent singleness content. Okay. But I definitely still tried to add a little bit of Jesus encouragement on there. But where was I going with this? What was I about to say? Okay. The Lord said, talk about the counterfeit. Okay. That was actually, you know, we always hear about the counterfeit we always say it was like sent by Satan, but how about my counterfeit was sent by God? Have y'all ever heard that perspective? So in the midst of me being discontent, I meet a guy. Okay, I'm gonna give you the timestamp. It was 2020. It was 2020. Yep. It was during COVID. I met a guy. Okay, the Lord allowed me to come across paths with this guy. Okay, and so we ended up actually. I gotta frame it to where we can't figure it out. But we ended up doing business together. Let me just say that we ended up doing business together. Okay, the Lord allowed us to cross paths. And so we had to actually meet up at my house a few times to talk about business. Okay. It was just purely supposed to be platonic. Okay. Just talking about business. And so, we end up like talking and, you know, chatting and getting to know each other and still talking about business or whatever. But I think it was 2 times we hung out at my house. From those 2 encounters at my house, and we talked for a lengthy period of time. But from those 2 times, Whoo, child, you cannot tell me that was not my husband. Okay, that was my man. Okay, I just knew that was my husband. He was my type. Okay, he looked the way I wanted my husband to look. He talked the way I wanted my husband to talk. He loved God.
Okay, I'm just going to stop her really quick because I feel like I need a little bit of a break from that. This is so confusing to me. You have this very attractive Black woman, seems to be slim, very nice looking face, teeth, well kept. She's in a nice environment. She's probably educated and more than likely successful at whatever she does. How do you have somebody single like this? And that's exactly what it is right there. Those last few minutes that we just saw, that annoying personality. See, people forget that personality is like a huge thing when it comes to dating. Like, you can look the part, you can have the body, you can have the bank, but if you are not likable in personality, like if your personality comes off annoying, like this kind of does, in my opinion, I find her personality annoying. Like, it bothers me when people talk like that.
Like, girl, that was my man.
You know, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, so I can see why she could be considered annoying, but yeah, just wanted to stop it real quick for that.
You know, he was funny, he was goofy, like we was laughing, he was entertaining me. He had me like crying, laughing. It's like, if you can get me crying, laughing, oh, that's it. I am your girl. Okay, I do. Okay, already. And so I thought that was my husband. I really did think that was my husband, but I was smitten over him, okay? But he was very adamant that he was not looking for a girl. He was very adamant that he was not looking to settle down. He just was very adamant that this wasn't his time. Oh my goodness, is my battery going down? My battery is going down. Oh my God, today. He was very adamant, sorry y'all. He was very adamant about him just knowing that he's just called to singleness right now. And so I heard him say it, but he wasn't saying that to me, like, because I was playing it cool. He didn't know I liked him. But he was just saying it like other girls was trying to talk to him, and he was just like, no, I'm good on it. Like, I'm just chilling. I know it's not time for me to be married. I'm just going to, enjoy my single season or whatever. And so I'm hearing him say that.
He was talking to you, ma'am. If he was saying it about other women, that's because y'all had just met and hadn't had a relationship or anything to go off of and talk about you two as a couple. But if he's literally telling you like, yeah, I'm not really looking for a relationship, he was letting you know so that you know, don't put pressure on me. Don't be blowing up my phone. Don't think that this is going to be anything more than what it is. He was letting you know that. But you, like most women, think you can change somebody's opinion. I mean, I want to say I probably was there at one point in my life. Not at this stage in the game, though. Not, I would imagine her and I are probably similar in ages. When I was in my early 20s, yeah, I'd have probably thought something stupid like that. Like, oh, he'll come around. Like, no. If a dude is like, I'm not looking for a relationship, I just want a friend, and he's telling you that means that's what he wants from you. Just a friendship. Like, and it's not going to change. Like, unless he literally says, you know what, let's take it slow. Let's see where this ends up, because I am looking for a relationship, just not one that blossoms too quickly. But then again, if somebody really likes you, they're not even thinking about that kind of stuff. They're not thinking about being tied down to you because you're what they want. So you should have just listened to him.
But I'm like, I'm the exception to the rule. He don't know Lala, okay? Once he gets to know Lala, then he gonna be like, oh, that's my wife. Boom, forget the single season. I'm ready. I do. Like, I felt like in my mind, he didn't know. He just had to get to know me a little bit more or whatever. When a man say something, listen to what he got to say, because he's speaking that real, okay? Because men be saying stuff and we be hearing stuff that they don't be saying, okay? And the men, they just be black and white. Is what he said is what it is. And I was like, he ain't never met me before.
Well, I'm glad she came around and said that. Hindsight is always 20/20 though. But I mean, judging from that small bit of information, we can almost kind of conclude that she's kind of selfish, because if somebody's telling you something and you're thinking you're going to change them, that makes you a little bit selfish, because you're not hearing them. You're not considering what they want. You're just thinking about what you want. Girl,
he met you. Y'all was talking, okay? And so I I was still like, this is my man. Like, he gonna get to know me. He gonna fall head over heels for me. Like, we're gonna get married. And so, like, even my friends were like, oh, y'all are so cute together. Y'all compliment each other. Y'all look good together. Da 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 da. Ain't nobody said God said nothing though. Disclaimer, nobody said God told me this is the. No, they were just like, oh, y'all look cute together. And then I'm like, don't we look good? Girl, I'm telling you, that's my man, that's my husband. Look at the way we look together. Look how cute we are in this picture. And so basically, he was only responding to me when it comes to business. And he didn't respond to anything else, because I was just like, I think we should do some more business together, da da da. But after like we handled business the first, I know this ain't making sense, but I gotta kind of keep it a little gray, because I can't let people know who it is. But so when we handled business the first time, I tried to double back and be like, hey, I need to handle business again. But after that first time, it was like he went ghost. He went MIA. Like, he stopped responding. He stopped texting. He didn't hit me up on Instagram. Like. Bruh, he curved me. And so I was like, when I say I held on to him being my husband for a year, I was just thinking about him. I was just focused on him. I was praying to God about him. Like, I was obsessing about him. And then the Lord came around and was like, do you see what you're doing? And I'm like, huh? What? Like, the Lord was like, you're making this man an idol. Like, your marriage to you is an idol. Like, where am I at in this picture? Where is pleasing me at in this picture? Where is me getting the glory out of this marriage in this picture? And I was like, I mean, I felt like, once we got together, then I was going to be like, you can get the glory. But the Lord just read me completely with that. And he was like, listen, you are idolizing marriage, okay? You are not fully content in singleness, okay? You are not really even fully focused on singleness. I can't even use you in your singleness because you're too focused on marriage. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
And the fact that you had to come to the realization, and God told you that you were too focused on marriage between you and God. Can you imagine how you probably were on a date? That's why the guy had to immediately tell you, like, yeah, I'm not looking for anything. Probably because you were already talking about being with them and wanting more and going out with them and stuff. And if a guy's not even willing to go out with you and hang out with you and get to know you on a personal level, not just business, then that means you just weren't his type. Now, again, I don't know why, because she seems to be, or seems to have a lot of the characteristics that a person would like. But looks can be deceiving.
That's very true. And so I ended up he told me to let the guy go. Let him go. And so I had to let him go, even though I was like, that is my man. But I had to let him go because the Lord said, let him go. This is not him. This is not him. And so I had to let him go. And that let me realize that I need to get to contentment. Okay. And so it was really like, it was just like a light bulb went off that I was like, okay, I know that marriage is coming. I really know this is coming. And so I really need to focus on being content in singleness. Okay. I really need to focus on being happy with me. I need to really focus on my relationship with God. I really just need to focus on what God has me doing right now. I'm too focused on the future that I can't see now. And so it's like the light bulb went off and I was like, okay, I am good. I'm about to say his name, but I let him go. And I said, I am good. And so a little bit after that, in 2021, the Lord told me to stop dating. Okay, he told me to stop dating. And so for the last few years, I have not been dating. I have not entertained anybody. I went on a date. I got to be honest, because I lied on this one video, and I had to repent for it, because I was like, Lord, I lied. It was a date. Okay, I went out with this guy, and I tried to chop it up as us just being cool, but I knew the whole time I was studying him to see, could he be a potential, and I was like, no, he not. But the Lord had already told me don't date, but I was like, I'm not dating, I'm just hanging out with friends. Like, don't lie to Lord, like, don't lie to me. And I'm like, I'm lying. So I had to repent, but I started.
And so that's why we have this video. She wants to know why she's been single for the last 10 years. Or not even single, just why she hasn't been able to get married in the last 10 years. So while you were dating, probably for the last 8 years, because you stopped in January 2021, while you were dating for the past 8 years, you probably met a lot of good guys. But because they didn't have one thing right on your list, you seem like the type. I'm not even gonna lie, she does. She seems like the type that would probably be like, oh yeah, he's not making enough, or I don't like the way he dresses. he's not going to church every Sunday, so I don't want to waste my time. Or he may have had a kid from a previous relationship. I don't want to deal with somebody else's kids. You probably met a great guy over and over and over again. But for whatever reason, you said they weren't probably sent by God, and so therefore you didn't talk to them anymore. That's one thing that I want to say that a lot of women, it keeps you single is because you do meet nice guys, but then you find one little flaw in them, and instead of realizing you're completely flawed as well, you kind of feel like, oh, well, I'll just wait for the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, hoping to find Mr. freaking perfect. You guys, I hate to say it, but the total package doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Like, even if you are stunningly beautiful, even if you do have millions of dollars, there's going to be something else wrong with you. It's probably going to be your little wacko, or you just don't know how to communicate well with people or something, or maybe you got a micro penis or something. Or for a woman, you're beautiful, you have money, you come from money and all that, but you can't have kids or something. It's always something that stops you from being the perfect 10. You know what I'm saying? So when you realize that the total package doesn't exist, you can stop with these illusionary ideas of what your partner is supposed to be. And then you can start dating people and just getting to know them for who they are instead of trying to conform and see if they match this ideology of what you deem a perfect person is. And you shouldn't put pressure on people either. Like, if you're dating, don't pressure people into changing into what you want them to be. Allow them to be themselves, and they'll come around or they won't. Flat out. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it's something that's different about them that you just can't get down with, let them go. Rather than trying to beat them up and trying to change them, just let them go. And then maybe come to understand that not everybody's going to be perfect, and give the second person a better chance than you did the last one. Next biggest point, celibacy. That is probably the number one killer of marriage dreams for women that are probably, we'll just say, over 23 years old. If you're like 22, 23 years old, at that point in your life, you've completely finished high school, I would hope. More than likely, if you're either done with college, or maybe you're in the middle of it, or you're just starting, who knows. Either way, you're still pretty young, but you're an adult at 23 years old. So going into relationships without sex is I hate to say it, because I'm not like for promiscuous relationships. If you're going to be dating, you kind of have to expect sex to be a part of it as an adult. Now, as a kid or as a teenager, celibacy is fine. But if you are ready for a family, you're ready for marriage, and to think that a man isn't going to want to sleep with you before then, as an adult, especially as a woman, as mature as she's coming off, you're coming off like you're definitely in your 30s. Not a bad thing. She's still beautiful. I'm not taking anything away from her, but I'm just saying, like, if you're going to be an older woman, a woman who's not old, but just of age, right? And to think that you're going to have these relationships with other grown of age men, mature men, and think that sex isn't going to be a part of it is just foolish to me. I just personally think it's going to be foolish. And that's another reason why a lot of these chicks are staying single. You're looking at it like,
I'm saving myself for marriage. My body is holy and perfect.
I'm trying to grow closer to God.
You can grow closer to God without being celibate, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not for a whole bunch of reckless sex before marriage. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just bust it open for everybody. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's part of the reason why you're not finding anybody. Because once you start talking about on that first date or that second date, if it even gets that far, because most guys are going to spend some money on you and they're going to kind of expect something, when you get to that point when you're, on that date and you talk about being celibate, if the guy doesn't get up and leave, then you're lucky, because a lot of guys they're not trying to sign up for that. They're just not. Now, a young man, or a man that has a very low sex drive, we're talking about people with low libidos, maybe. But the average man, or even a high value man, which is probably what she wants, sex before marriage is almost a must. I mean, let's just be realistic. Like, I'm not trying to sound like a bad person or tell people to just be promiscuous. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to be dating one particular person and hold sex out of it, you're not going to have a lot of options. Let's just be real. Second point I want to be realistic about is that sex can be bought. It just can be. So if you want to keep your man's attention, you may want to be having sex with them, especially if you're married. Because you hear about so many women, they go through these periods of time where they don't want to have sex, and their libidos are low, and they just like, I don't want to, I got a headache, or I this or I that, and they go, a few days turns into weeks can turn into months, sometimes months turn into years. And I'm sorry, Men don't like sexless marriages for the most part, unless something is different about them. But the average guy who has a high libido is going to not be happy in that marriage. So for you guys starting off relationships, trying to pull the celibacy number, not a good way to keep a guy, not a good way to bring up your sexual marketplace value. It's just not. Here's an interesting fact. 15 to 20% of marriages fail due to sexual incompatibility. That means one person has a higher libido than the other, and so they're not really having as much sex, which creates an unhappiness and a feeling of rejection in the person with the higher sex drive, which over time, rejection turns into resentment. And that's how a marriage can fall apart in that sense. So that whole celibacy thing, I think it's just, personally, I think it's weird. Wouldn't be for me either. As a woman, that's not for me. So, I can only imagine as a guy with the testosterone and all the stuff you guys have going on, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way I do about it. It sounds kind of boring. Another reason, and I know I'm about to be ate up in the comments for this, y'all. That whole extra Christian behavior thing, God was talking to me and stuff like that. People don't want to hear that. If God was talking to you, that's perfectly fine. Keep it to yourself. Stop talking about that in a public way. Stop telling people that God is telling me this and God is talking to me that. That kind of stuff comes off weird in conversation. Just say, my spirit led me, because we all have an inner spirit within us. Just say my spirit led me. Don't say God said to me and God said this and God said that. All of that extra Christian stuff, it comes off like your whole life is pretty much surrounded by church and church events, which is another thing that a lot of men probably don't find attractive in this day and age because of the times we're in. Church is not seen as important. It's just not, because we know so many people that have started churches or who go to church and they either get A, suckered out of their money, or B, they're sitting up there, creating a church just so they can scam the neighborhood folks out of the money that they have. You know what I'm saying? And it makes church at this point, in this day and age, not important. I mean, it just does. Because you can sit in your house, you can read your Bible, you can pray, you can meditate, you can focus on the word, you can watch YouTube videos on sermons if you really wanted to hear something that can make you a better person, right? But feeling like you need to go to this one particular place every Sunday, spend half of your day there, come out of pocket, a certain amount every time you get paid, it's just not appealing to this day and age. It's just not, especially when you see these mega churches, stealing money from people basically so they can have all of these lavish things that they really haven't earned. We have this beautiful woman who seems from the outside looking in like she's successful. Seems like she has a likable personality to a certain degree. She's very smiley, but at the same time, we see some character flaws. We see a woman who's desperate for marriage, and we see a woman that's at the same time celibate. And maybe that's why she's so desperate. She wants to have sex. Just have sex, honey. Just go ahead and have sex. You might actually get your husband that way. Who knows? But this is the fall of a lot of women once they get past that certain age, and then they hit that wall. It's like it all becomes about church, and then they all of a sudden want to be celibate, and then now you have this literal wall that you ran into becoming what separates you from the opposite sex. And I don't personally understand it. Not about being a slut, not about being sexually liberated and having a bunch of sexual partners. No, it's not that. It's about spending some time to get to know a person and then allowing them into your world, allowing yourself into theirs, making love, feeling what that's like. There's such beautiful feelings that can be experienced when you make love to somebody that you care about versus somebody that you don't. You know what I'm saying? If the feeling, in my opinion, it's just a lot more worth it. I made this video so that women can know, hey, you know what? You want this one particular thing. You want to be married. Well, number one, stop focusing so much on it, because what you're doing is you're turning guys off. They're getting that creepy, weird, I want to be married, I want to be a wife vibe, and they're getting turned off. And then you're sitting up there talking about God so much and then being celibate. It's just like, okay, this is not the woman for me. I thought she was cute. I thought she had her stuff together, but she's weird. Point blank period. This extra Christian stuff, it's weird. It's very weird. And we're going to get that out. And y'all are going to be mad at me for saying that. But it is what it is, because when you meet somebody that's all extra religious, you be wondering if they kind of low-key crazy. All right, you guys definitely finish this video off by leaving me a comment and telling me what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you check out some of my shorts too. Very good stuff on there. And we will see you next time.